And I want to add something else, right? But go ahead if anyone else, like Chris or Tina.
For me, what comes to mind is just everyone being on their own journey, on their own timeline. Because sometimes I know I want people to see what I see, and sometimes they want me to see what they see. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, I've been there. I don't really believe that anymore. And they don't see maybe everything. But I've noticed, like I know this one particular person, he's gotten better from um, just knowing that how free we really are. And, he's really into the Bible, which is not a bad thing. But I know it's been, I just tell him the truth from within trumps anything. I kind of around that theme, but he was more against it some time ago, but now he's seeing that more and more, and now he's battling his old beliefs versus just being really free and controlling your own destiny.
Right, and it doesn't matter what you read or what you believe. It matters what you do with it, right? What you can do with that. What you really have learned and how you apply that to your daily life, right? If that serves you, whatever that is, can be your permission slip, right? So the excitement is not, how to say, it's not the outcome, is to, right, is to get you to start from that excitement. And when you're doing so, other things will follow. Let's say your excitement is going to a park, right? Or travel to another country. How do you know? Then you are going to meet some people, right? And that can open your world, right? Or you started working with someone you never thought you would, right? So that's why the highest, the highest excitement is always from the higher self, and it's to get us to start something. Yeah. But if we don't, then we're missing that trigger. That trigger. But I have something I really want to share with others because I realize this is how important this is, right? So basically, following our excitement is for us to be who we are, right? To act on what we're excited about, right? However, see, I realize, right, this is something that we don't think about. We just say, oh, I'm doing that. But when you're doing so, you're not doing the things on your own, right? You cannot say, oh, I'm doing things just without interacting with anyone. It's not possible. So, okay, I want you guys to guess, what is the next important thing?
After following your excitement, what's the next one you say?
Like when you do so, when you are acting on that, and then there's one thing that usually, right, we don't talk about it. What is the next critical thing? I think Tina knows because we talk about this for hours.
Yeah, I have a guess.
Yeah.
And the guess is to take a risk.
Yes. Of course, risk is not risk. Risk is just unknown, right?
Yeah.
And that is a part of your excitement, right? You cannot say, I follow my excitement and everything is things I know already, right? However, what I want to say next about this particular thing is something, it's not related to the matter, but it's related to when you're dealing with others on the journey. You're going to do things with others. So what is that? What is that we might not be able to handle it well because we never learn how to do this?
That's me.
Okay. Yeah, Chris.
Maybe.
Yes. So
What did you say?
Judgment.
judgment.
Got it.
See, is this expression, how you express yourself. You might disagree with each other, right? You might have a different opinion about, right? Because you are going to deal with people no matter what. You're not doing the whole thing just on your own, right? And we are not the same souls. Each soul is unique. So how can we really work together, right, towards the same goal, but from a different perspective?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You're pretty much saying fully expressing yourself and not holding back.
Correct.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's hard.
Right, for sure.
Very hard.
Yeah,
Because
and you can see the people that do it. There's not many, but you can see the people that do it better. Like they're more themselves. They're not thinking. It's like you feel like doing something, you filter it through your mind, and then it's not as natural as like feeling and doing.
Yes, if you think less, you'll be more of who you are, right? Let's say if you're dealing with a client, right? If you do healing, and when you have, right? If you just started, maybe you don't have those issues yet, but you will. Yeah, I'm having those challenges right now. Yeah, but not to the lesson is not to hold back, is to fully express yourself. And doesn't matter you are, right, saying things in a perfect way or just your way or just your perspective, because you cannot learn if you're not even expressing yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't, in a way, you don't have relationship with yourself. Then nothing can really move forward.
Yeah,
But
it's like a lack of trust.
trust yourself.
Like, yeah, it's like if I say these things or I really say what I'm feeling, what would the outcome be? It's like the fear of the outcome almost.
Right.
And it's so much to do with just like human nature, right? And our drive to survive within social work, within social networks. And we're so constrained by these social networks, right? Socialized to be in fear of being rejected. Does that make sense?
To be rejected or to be disagreed.
But be rejected because at the very core, where our survival is within, let's say, centuries ago within a tribe, and so we're socialized even to this day to be accepted within the social environment, right? And our circles, and we restrict ourselves constantly. And then potentially it was also our parents that were restricting us out of fear. So there's a lot of who we truly are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We try to fit in. Right?
Yeah, and at the core, it's like a survival mechanism.
So let's say you need to express yourself fully, right? But you have a lot of, resistance from others. What do you do?
Take ayahuasca.
It's very simple. We don't need to make it complicated. You express what you like to do and you do it. And when people realize that's you, it might take some time for them to really see that's what you truly want to do. It might take some time, right? Because people might not even believe you, but you just act on it and you keep going. Eventually, they will, right, realize that's you. So they have no choice but to accept you.
Yeah. Even with all their opinions, they could be like, this guy's so selfish. Look at him doing what he wants, not thinking about others. But you're right, eventually they'll just be like, that's who he is.
And
And
what's
then get inspired.
and they will be like, wow, he's really being who he is. Wow, he's not afraid, right, to show his true self. And wow, that's so inspiring. Eventually, they want to be like you.
And I imagine those who weren't, some people might fade away as, we truly become ourselves, and then it'll make space for other people.
Right. That's a very good way to look at it. Yeah.
They're lost.
It's like, thank you for making space. Right? So that is almost the insurance for us to be able to follow our highest excitement at any moment, right? With no insistence of the outcome. Because without being, right, be able to express yourself, I don't think this how to say, this person will be able to really follow, right, the excitement.
Yeah, it's good.
And it's easy to say that, oh, I can express myself. This is one of the most difficult things, right? To not to hold back. But
Yes.
the intention is not to hurt others, is to tell them what you like to do, and is making announcement of who you are. And just keep practicing, and then you don't have to think about it. Yeah, Tina, you're a little bit quiet.
Yeah, I actually have a question for now. Like, what would you guys say or advise to a person who maybe doesn't know their purpose, and then like, oh, they don't know what to do now because they don't know their purpose and they really want to find out, but then like, how do they find out like what they're is really intending to do?
Quick thing that comes to mind for me would say, maybe their purpose is not knowing their purpose in this moment. And you will get there eventually, and you trust that you get there eventually. But maybe right now, to get you to the best place, your best path, your best journey, the best version, maybe that's the purpose. It's just discovering.
Yeah. The journey
Yeah,
is the destination.
it sounds like trust.
Like, right, the other day we have this client and she keeps asking, I don't know what my purpose is, right? You don't need to know. Nobody's like, oh, let me find my purpose first, then I will do things. It's not even exciting anymore. Just do what you like and you will eventually, right? And say, oh, this is what I can do. This becomes the purpose.
Yeah, some people are clear, like this is what I'm doing. I'm so clear. But then some people see that and be like, wow, why can't I be like that person? So they feel like something's missing within them. Like, I don't know what my purpose is.
And then keep discovering.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's why, right, Bashar does not talk about purpose first. Right? I think he rarely talks about that. It doesn't matter. Whatever excites you, that becomes your purpose. Right? Because that's from the higher self.
Yeah.
That cannot be wrong.
Right. And
Chris, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, so can we say that we are defining our own purpose every single second? Literally, as we shift, we can have a new purpose, and that purpose is coming from our excitement.
That you give purpose to life.
Mm.
Right? Everything is neutral. Right? So what do you do with it? Right? Becomes this, right? You just feel like, wow, I can do this. And that.
That certainty feels really good once you really know.
Yeah.
Because you know it's inevitable. It's a foregone conclusion. And you when it happens, it's like, yeah, I already knew it was gonna happen. But then there's other things that you don't feel as confident. And I guess that's the part where having some tips and tricks to feel certain may help.
If, right, let's say I like to do something, but I'm not confident. What is that? Today, I don't feel that way. Let's say I like martial arts, right? And we have this sparring class. Yeah, I cannot be very comfortable because most people are guys and bigger, taller. But my excitement is there. So it's like, okay, let me see what I can do. Let me see how much I can get. So you just give 100%. And then, wow, my conclusion is I definitely can do it. I can do it. And that, right? You say, oh, what did you learn? I learned to discover my potential. And that is so exciting. Without thinking.
You know, also, we're taught, kind of going back to what Allison was saying, what we're taught, especially in like the corporate world, the school, it's like, have your goal, have a business plan, have it planned out, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year forecast.
Right.
So when people get stuck a lot, they could get the most exciting idea, the next biggest thing, but they'll get stuck because they were taught all throughout school and all throughout whatever, like have this plan laid out and they just never get started. And it happens. Versus just following excitement, starting with just starting. Doesn't even have to have a goal. And then once you start, maybe you can pick up more things and continue. And a lot of businesses really started out that way. It's just crazy how we gotta kind of unlearn that.
Right. I think the thinking is really something we need to, do as least as possible.
Yeah.
Because the mind, right? The best thing that the mind can come up with, right? Which is the ceiling of the physical mind's production, right? It's like, oh, this is the best case scenario is this. And guess what? That is the floor of what the higher self can do.
Minimum. Yeah.
Right? But we try because we were taught to, right, think, to use this logical mind to come up with, right, like the outcome or the plan is a limitation. It just becomes a limitation. We have no idea how much we can do. Right? So why why do this way? Why use a lot of time planning, thinking, right? No, just do it. And if you fail, people say, oh, that's not very practical, right? You need to do a lot of research, right? You need to make sure. How can I make sure? I came to this country by myself. I couldn't make sure about anything.
You didn't have a plan, Naomi?
No. And people ask me when I was in Japan, right? So I quit that company. And I remember one of the VIP person called me and said, Shu-san, come to my office. So I thought he's gonna give me, some criticism. And he said, what do you do? Right? Like if you don't work here. I said, I'm going to the United States. And he said, what do you do there? I said, I don't know. I don't know. I will learn English first.
How old are you?
And he said, well, I was very surprised. I think this is right, one of the supporters, right, the universe sent to my place. He said, Shu-san, I believe anywhere you go, you will make it. I couldn't believe. Yeah. So I really came without knowing anyone.
How old were you?
At that time, like 26. Yeah. And you just do it. I went to English school, and then I I started doing real estate. Not because I planned. One day, I talked to this girl. She's also Chinese, and she also stayed in Japan for 5 years, in different city. So I forgot her name, Amy. So I said, what do you do now? And she said, oh, I do rentals. Now, what? I rent apartments to Japanese students. I said, oh, I can do that. And she said, but you need a license. Oh, license? Well, how to get that? And she said, you have to go to school. Oh, how can I find the school? And she said, look at the paper. I really went to a Japanese bookstore. I got a Japanese newspaper, and I found a school, a real estate school. And that's how I started. No plan. And I took the class, and this teacher, he's a Taiwanese. He came from Taiwan, but he speaks Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. And his class was so interesting. It's all about his life. Right? He started doing real estate, and then he made a lot of money. He bought a lot of houses or buildings, and then he bought the stocks, and then he lost all the money, and then he started again, all over again. And I feel, wow, that's so fascinating. And I want to do this. I really want to do real estate. And then I remember I have classmates, right? And they were talking behind me, talking about 2-family, 3-family, co-op. And I turned around. I said, what is that? I don't understand. What is 2-family? What is a co-op? You see? And then, right, I started doing residential real estate. And then one day, commercial real estate. And I joined the nation's largest commercial real estate firm. And I became a vice president when I left. I never thought about this. I never thought I would come to New York City to do real estate.
Great.
Right? So this proved that we don't need to plan. I followed, right, my excitement unconsciously.
Yeah. Were you always like that? Even when you were younger, or something clicked?
Yeah,
or gradually you got like that?
No, it's always like that. Yeah. It's just my gift. Like I don't think much, right? I did a LASIK, like the eye surgery. One day I was just walking in Chinatown and I saw a sign on the wall, like LASIK surgery. I said, okay, let me find out. Right? I walked in and the first thing I asked is how much? And they said $1,000. I said, 1,000 for one eye or two eyes? And they said for two eyes. I said, I want to make appointment.
And now it's like $10,000 or more, right?
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I'm
Really
pretty
now?
sure. I think so, yeah. I don't know why I know that because I don't have any vision issues yet.
And this is like 8 years ago, but I'm telling you, it's so worth it. I did not do any research. I did not know, oh, if this doctor is good, or I don't think about that. I just did it. Yeah. And I still can see very well. Anyway, right? So really live this way.
I think it's really telling to me that basically what you were saying, Chris, this element of like just trust. And it's funny because I think I've personally had a lot of fear about my own life path. Like I dropped out of college to do basically go on a spiritual journey. And I always really regretted it. Always for years hung over my head. Like I shouldn't have dropped out. Like I had basically a full ride scholarship at an expensive college. And I don't know, it's just ironic because I think in a lot of ways, like that's where I got out of that journey so much of my spiritual life that I still have today. And I think in some ways I'm reflecting like, oh, like the graduate school I got into, I've always like wondered how the heck I got to where I am professionally, but I'm satisfied. And long story short, I didn't even apply to that graduate program. I applied to a PhD program with a very specific professor doing very specific research. And I knew it was a huge, like, I knew I wouldn't get accepted. It was like a very niche. But then they offered me a master's degree in a program that I didn't realize he was in, that professor. And then that's led me to like the professional life I have, which, like I said, is basically I am satisfied. But I've always wondered, what is my real purpose? Like I feared like that I'm not living it. But maybe I am, and I should just like chill out. So yeah.
You know how there's different versions of us, like for every major decision, there's like a version that gets split off and does the other thing. Maybe you could try to tap in that during a meditation or something. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it really, all I want to say, right? Life is too short not to, right? Feel, not to use your feelings. It's not worth it. And life, and also it's not worth it if we just think about things, but without taking actions. It's so not worth it. Just do everything you like to do. Try everything. Why not? Why not? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm okay. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick. I'm okay with people, or even me, not taking action because I feel like I may be going in a path I no longer want to go. So it's like a quiet period for me. But then it's like I'm gearing up towards something. I don't know what that is yet. So, like for example, some people might say, "Oh, like in my family or something," they might say, "I think one of the biggest key things in Latino communities is like, gotta get a job, gotta make sure you're working, providing." But I'm okay. Now I see people that don't have jobs differently. It's like maybe that's just their journey right now. It's just like a period, a quiet period. And what's the rush if we're eternal beings? But we only have one body, right? We only have this space, this body now. So this, I don't want to say it's a rush, but I hear what you're saying, Naomi. It's like you don't want to just waste your life thinking and thinking and thinking.
And
but
as long as
if you're doing it from a place of alignment, it's like the biggest thing. Like I could be like 2 years trying to, I was doing something that was really kind of unaligned, just following other people, just having a corporate job. And now it's like I took like a period of time off And now, whatever that is, like Allison, you followed your spirituality. You're doing it from an aligned place. So whatever the outcome is, it's like you're more happier.
Right. I'm not saying people should always do things. As long as you feel fulfilled. Yeah. Um, I was talking to my sister yesterday, and she's alone now because her husband passed away, and I channeled. The main reason he left is for her to change, for her, right, to do something, because she was a housewife. She did not do anything. She did not have to do anything. So now I'm telling her, I said, I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for you, right? You can do anything. Financially, she has the freedom, right? I said, if you come to New York City, right? Let's say we can go to Europe and take a train trip. I say, I always feel that's kind of interesting, right? Like,
Me too.
so maybe I'll find out if you want to join us, right? Or we can take the cruise, I say, right, for 10 days. Even from Brooklyn, there's a cruise from Red Hook. You know, I did not know that before, right? We can go to some islands, right? And who knows, right? What will happen, right? We might meet some interesting people, right? Or we go to South America. We do some retreats, ayahuasca retreats, right? I said, what do you have to lose? Come here, right? Rent an apartment. Yeah, and just stay close to me. And you do anything you like to do. I'm not requiring you, right? If you just want to walk every day, go to the park, go to museums, right? There's so much you can do here. I'm so excited for you.
She's probably scared, right? A little scared for her.
She has no children, no pets, right?
Okay.
Right. And I said, we're the same. So, right, not everyone can just say, oh, let's do this, let's do that, and pack your suitcase and just go, right?
Yeah.
I want to go to Antarctica. I feel there's something there. There's
That's great.
many portals.
Definitely.
Yeah. Right, there are trips you can take to that place. I don't know how far you can go, but right. So just thinking about it is so exciting. And if I said, if you don't want to do this, I might just do it myself, right? I can handle that. I like to go on a trip and then meet with people. I joined this company, this travel agency called Gate One. I feel they're very reliable travel agencies, and I went to their tour like 15 times to different countries, and I go by myself, and I made so many friends, and every time it's like, wow. I the last day of that trip, I feel very sad to leave them. Yeah, I even cried once. It's just so fascinating. You meet with people from different places, right? And it's so easy to do so if you don't think. You just enjoy. You just trust that they're not gonna say no to me. Let's say if they, dinner time. I don't want to go to dinner by myself, so I go to my the people and say, hey, can I sit next to you? And they will never say no, right? And then you make friends, right? Every night.
Right, that's brave now.
Why not? Why not? Right?
Especially in New York, where not everyone, a lot of people are quick and rude, and
I never had a bad experience, right? Those trips. And
oh, I'm sorry, you're talking about the trips, yes.
right.
Yeah.
I get, fascinating people. And we even, I made a friend with one person and we traveled again together. Yeah. right? So life is so, right? How to say? There's nothing to be afraid, right? Everything is right. If you're excited about doing something, just give it a try, right? If you don't try, how do you know?
I feel like the most courageous people are the ones that came from another country, not knowing the language. Like my parents, it was
Right.
like, well, one of them was my grandparent that came from Dominican Republic, just came here without knowing the language and maybe just looking ahead. I don't know, for their
Right.
kids, but you did more than that, Naomi. Because back then they were thinking my kids would be good and my grandkids would be good.
It's
And it,
you know, one thing I want to share with people is when you're doing something you never did before, right? The feeling is like this: is you open up a new world, and it's this world, right? Because you never did this before, so to me feels like it's golden, and it's so colorful, and it's like totally right, amazing. So, but we have to really, right, get there and say, I'm doing it. You just, let's say the first time I went to Puerto Rico, I said, I'm going to travel by myself. I just got my, not green card, citizen, right, passport. So I said, I need to go to somewhere, right? And I went to, right, Puerto Rico by myself. And at the airport, I found someone, I don't know how I talked to him. He became my personal tour guide. He drives me around every day.
yeah.
Yeah. And I did a lot of activities. They have a jungle, right? I went there. I took him. I said, okay, so I pay for it, right? And you just you're the translator, you're the right, the assistant, the guide, and it was wonderful. That's the first time I traveled by myself. Yeah. And I
I
said,
did similar. Yeah, sorry.
go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say I did similar in Fiji. Just met someone, took me around.
Right. And he's pretty good. He has a nice car, so so we went to everywhere. Yeah, I think he was like how I met with him. I don't like at the airport anyway. So just
Everything was aligning,
yeah,
synchronicities, right?
yeah, right. So every time it encourages me even more. It's like you can do it, right? I went to Morocco, right? And I met this local tour guide. He's from the desert, and it was so cool, right? The, you have to go to the desert. You have to go to Sahara, right? And he
Oh,
will take you
definitely.
there. Yeah, yeah. And because he's from there, and it's so interesting talking with him. He does not. He speaks Arabic, but he's not Arabian. He's the desert people, and they have a different feature and different clothes. It's so fascinating. Yeah. Just
How long were you in the desert for? Because I think you mentioned you couldn't be there during the daytime, right? It has to
right,
be at night,
right, like a sunset time.
sunset.
Yeah.
And they got to
Because
just
it was
get
so hot.
You just be on the camels, and then you come back. Because if you sleep over, yes, there is not that, it's possible, but we did not do that. Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's like 140, 150 degrees or something like that during the daytime. Right?
And you cannot just get to the desert. You have to get to the city that is the closest to the desert and sleep over there.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Were there roads or is just all dirt?
hmm?
There's no roads. It's just all dirt.
Then it's a jeep will take you there. Yeah. And then the drivers, right? They have those local drivers, and he gave us a surprise. He will purposely go up and down over the hills, and so then I was screaming. It's like a roller coaster, and every time they're like ah, and he's just laugh. I said, no, just, right? He purposely, there are roads you can go around, but it's just so unforgettable. Yeah. It's so worth it. Everything I did, I feel, if you can afford, right, to travel, then please do, because that will open your heart. Yeah. Open you up. Yeah. I think that really reduce our fears. It's like, right? We have all different kinds of fears. But trust, right? We never die, right? So I feel, right, when you have less fear, right, at least compared with you before, then we really can do more.
Another level is activated. Another or superpower.
That's the way, right? And trust is the opposite of, right, fear. When you trust everything, right, everything, not certain things, everything, and then what happens? Because the trust is all positive, right? So when you're at that vibration, you, in a way, you can say the entire universe will follow you, because there's no other way. So all the positive synchronicities will happen, one after another. But the condition is no fear, and be yourself, and be excited, and trust. If people say, okay, I understand, but it's hard to do, then I would say, try once. Why not try once? And see what happens. Just try with that thing, that one thing. Right? Give yourself, right? Say, I'm gonna try this new thing without any fear. And see what happens.
And chances are they did that at some point in their life, where they didn't know what was going to happen. They were excited and just trusted. They just don't call that. Or maybe they think it's luck.
Right. But luck did not happen by accident.
Yeah.
Right? Luck is almost, you can call it a miracle, let's say, right? And Bashar said, right here, we think miracle happens once, twice in a lifetime. But the truth is, miracle is supposed to happen at every single second. If we're in the alignment. Right? So another word is synchronicity. Everything will happen at the right time. Everything that's supposed to happen in your life will happen at the right time. That is when we, right, trust and follow our excitement with no fear and with a full expression. And right, and if someone says, okay, but I'm not sure if this is going to happen with me, try it, right? And do we have a better way to live? Do we? Right? So it's a simple. I want to say it is very simple. We don't have to make it complicated. I have a Jessica downstairs, and I'm gonna get her up, and we can talk a little bit more until like 1:30. So today we don't do the channeling, but we do Tuesday at 6 p.m. And you guys definitely are welcome to join that. Yeah. So keep talking. I'll be back.
Allison, remind me, what do you do now? Your career?
I'm in HR, and I do like training and executive coaching.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Wondering how the heck I got here, but yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. And I know you're near like New Rochelle, right?
Yeah.
North.
Yonkers, right? Not far from New Hampshire. I went to New Hampshire
Okay.
High School.
Okay, got it.
Not far at all. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I grew up in the city, but moved up to Westchester when I was like 13 or something.
Okay, nice. Yeah, it's good to get out of the city. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Tina, where are you located?
I also grew up in the city, and until like high school. During like COVID, my family and I moved to Philadelphia. But
Philadelphia?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm still looking to kind of move to New York alone. Yes, this summer.
Yeah.
Also to work on spirituality and with Naomi too.
Excellent. Yeah, I do love this energy of New York City. Yeah, still feel the drive to get out. It's necessary.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely great to visit.
Yeah.
I don't know about living there full time, but I could see
know.
myself for a few months. But when I was older, I lived there for a few years as well, and just moved back there.
Yeah. A lot of people come here for like, I don't know, their 20s or something, I believe. But yeah, this conversation about like purpose is so interesting. I'm grateful that we've kind of honed in on it because it gave me quite a big revelation.
Yeah, share, please.
Well, just all what I already shared, which was that, that I've I could have just been more relieved and trusted than fearful that I'm like not. Like my fear has been like, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? And oh, well, actually, maybe I should just chill out because I've been pretty happy. Like maybe this is it.
Yeah.
Like it found me instead of the other way. I think that's like what a lot of people are envious of, is that person who knows as a child they would do something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And everyone's different. And Tina, I like what you said. It could change every second.
I know.
And sometimes, like those people that found that as a child, they've had the same purpose since they was a child.
Right.
But really, something can excite us now, and there's people with multiple businesses that are doing well.
Yeah. I mean, it is exciting. Yeah, that's just such a revelation to me, to like just live at relief, really.
Right.
There's really nowhere to go. There's like no purpose to find. And we only have right now this moment.
Just be.
Yeah, I would say I changed a lot too, because I was that kind of type of person who I guess has a purpose, at least, starting from middle school. And I know very clear what college I want to go into, what major I want to study, starting from high school.
Yeah.
And then I worked all the way towards that. And then now, like, I'm in a good college with the major that I kind of wanted to go in. But then everything changed, I guess. So like this goal that I have for years, and I worked all the way towards that. And then in college, I found, that's probably not something that I want to do. And then I got very lost. So for all those years, I knew what I wanted to do, but now I don't think that's the right fit for me. So what do I do? Hi, Jessica.
Well, I just got here.
You're out of the camera view, Jessica.
Oh, a little bit closer.
There you go.
Oh, maybe this way.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, we have like 15 minutes, and anything you want to ask Jessica? Me? She did some self healing for like 2 weeks.
Yeah. It came off as like me being sick, but it's not always like, it's a lot more spiritual than just being sick, I think.
Well, we've been talking a lot about purpose today. I would be curious without, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just be curious because, you know, without knowing the things that we would have already said, I'd be curious what your fresh perspective on people's purposes and finding purposes, what your perspective is or thoughts around it.
I feel like purpose is not something you have to find. If you're like the creator, you don't need to find it. You're here and you just are. You know, I feel like when people say I have to find my purpose, like, do you not have I think that just means they're not being themselves, as in like they're not really doing what they find something meaningful in. So they feel like they need to find the purpose, which in itself is like kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's contradictory. You don't have to find it.
Okay, my mind is just blown because I feel like you said like basically like a summarization of what we've said.
Oh, okay.
Right. It's not even natural, right?
It's so interesting. I feel like this is just incredible to me.
Right. It's not that someone, right, like just one day say, oh, I need to find my purpose. Like, I don't have those moments.
I mean, it's just amazing because I think, like, I mean, yeah, I've already said this, but I feel like I spent a lot of my adult life just so stressed out about not knowing what my purpose is and wondering if I found it. And like even yesterday, thinking like, okay, I just need to find it. So this is really spot on.
Because you are everything, right? You're source energy. You are everything, or you're
Right.
in everything, right? And then how can you say, right, this is my purpose? That is not.
Right.
Yeah. Amazing.
Mm. Yeah, so that's why we do this kind of a spiritual talk, right? Just live and act, right? And do what you like to do, right? And this is why we came here. And right, help each other.
Yeah.
Chris or Tina?
Yes, I was also kind of sharing my journey from like knowing my purpose as a young kid, but then like after I go to college, I found okay, that's not the right fit for me. So what do I do now? I suddenly became very lost. So that's how I kind of got into spirituality and quantum healing hypnosis. And after doing that and working with Naomi, it was really in alignment, and I changed so much compared to before. Right now, yes, regarding purpose, I definitely don't think about that anymore, and just yeah, follow my excitements, and every single moment without any insistence on the outcome. So that's kind of how you live in the moment, and because there is nothing to think about, there's no future, there's no past. So what do we have to worry about?
So basically, stop thinking.
Yeah.
Right?
We'll do more.
And really, yeah, live your life instead of thinking about your life.
Yeah, it's very interesting because we were giving our brains and thought for a reason, but it has its place. So it's like when we were taught, it's like, okay, try to use your brain for everything and use less of your emotions, your inner feelings, because your brain is where everything is at. So it's like learning where to keep that thinking in its, I don't want to say bubble, but in its best use versus, because the brain, our thoughts could limit us, or do limit us, like you said, Naomi. But it's just like knowing when to think versus doing from feeling.
Yeah, the mind is just for us to be able to survive, right? And we don't have that problem right now. right? We know how to survive. So then you can just put the mind on the side. You know, that's what I do. I really try not to think much, like live almost like a child.
Amazing.
Go ahead.
I feel like also the more you think, the more you try to control how your life plays out, which kind of limits, like, what can actually come into your life in many ways.
Right, because it's like when you're thinking, you're like, oh, this thing has to happen this way, right? I have to make this happen certain way.
Like, I'm doing this so I can make this happen, and I only want to see this happen, which is like, yeah.
So without allowing it, right? Because the mind does not like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen, right? It's like I need to know the outcome, but then you're limiting it because the outcome can be much more than what you can, right? What your mind can come up with.
Yeah, so it's like rejecting all the other possibilities if you're thinking about that one reality, if you're thinking about that just one choice. So you reject saying no to all the other possibly even better things that could happen in your life. Other things that when you're aligned, your higher self will, the universe will show you the right thing at the right time at the right place. So yeah, there's really nothing to think about or worry about.
Right, in a way, right? So control is not trusting, right? And why we say, right, go with the flow, what does that mean? Right? Don't go against the current because everything will unfold the way it's supposed to. When we use the mind, we put too much effort and that becomes a resistance. Right?
Yeah, I feel like society teaches us that we have to put a lot of effort to make things happen. But I think a lot about spirituality is unlearning all of that.
It's like that is, I don't want to say that's the trick, but it's like it's crazy because you need some kind of base. I'm not to say you need some kind of base, but as a child you have some kind of base, whether it's your parents' beliefs or school system, but it's some kind of base. I was just talking to someone about this yesterday. But then it's a little bit restrictive because as a kid, you could, as a baby or as a toddler, you could do whatever you want. Not necessarily you start learning rules, boundaries, but then in schools and then as young adult, teens, it's like all these rules and all these, things like I was talking about business, make sure you have a plan or what's your plan after, you graduate from high school. You got to think about a college. You got to think about a major. But then you're right. Unlearning that is like, an interesting journey because then you want to learn about being expansive and being free, and none of those things are like that. It's just like controlled, and there's an specific outcome. I did want to say there's one other thing about thinking that is kind of fun. It's imagination. Even when we were kids, they would say, that's just in your imagination. Just lower that, tame that down. But now it's like unlearning what they said and just being in your head and just imagining anything you want, which is freeing for me, even like in meditating or something. Just being quiet. It's just like, or in a bath, it's just like I'm imagining, which is like free and expansive for me. So that's something I've kind of been unlearning and doing more of.
Yeah, imagination is the bridge to connect this 3D world to the spirit world. Yeah, and you're manifesting, you're creating that reality. If you can imagine something that exists in the universe, you just tap into that. And then you're engaging, right? It's because you want to go there. So then you're creating your reality, right? Using that. And so basically, when we stop thinking, then we can dream, right? Then we can make, then miracles will happen. And just allow it, just allow it.
I think for me, it's unlearning the habit of worrying.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nothing to worry.
And then digging down deeper, it's like, why? Not to say you have to answer this, but like, why is the worry coming up?
It's a
Well,
belief.
I mean, I think that it depends on how you were raised. I know that like I was not raised in a very stable environment. So I think that the survival mechanism was like I needed to be hyper aware and manage the adults of my life.
Mm. Yeah. And it's we have lots of kind of negative beliefs, right, about ourselves, about the society, right, and let it go, just let it go. And when you trust, it's such a good feeling, and you can do more. And there's no better way to live than that. So why not? It's why not, right? I cannot find a better way to live my life. Trust to the fullest.
One thing I realized is that like if I truly learn to trust myself, trusting everything else just comes so naturally. Like for me, I struggled with like just trusting. Like how does that feel like? What does trusting feel like? But then I realized, well, if I give all my love and attention to myself first, I reaffirmed a lot. I love myself. I trust myself, and then that like it really clicked. Oh, because I am everything. So why not establish the relationship with myself first, trusting myself, and then just like, oh, I think I understand what it means to trust now. Yeah, it's to have like that really stable core. Yeah, for me at least.
In a way, that's the only way it will work. If you don't allow, right? We say this, everything happens for a reason. But then, what does that mean? You have to allow it, right? Not control it, not to try to change it. Allow it. But does not mean we have no control. You always have to, you are always in control. Surrender is to what? Well, surrender is to give up the control that you have already.
And that's like in a certain way, like the biggest level of trust, I would say, just allowing things to happen. And like I realized that if I just allow myself to really be in it, as in like I accept everything that's around me, that it's like I don't actually feel pain. What I've realized when I feel pain, it's usually resistance to whatever's going on. But if I allow myself to really be in it, be truly in the present, then like, oh, it's really not so bad. Like I'm not like always happy, always peaceful, but at least I'm not sort of like feeling anxious, feeling fearful, feeling depressed. Instead, I embrace everything that's happening in my life. And I find it so much easier to sort of react to things in a much more positive way, as in like there's always something I can learn from a situation. And when I do that, I stop labeling things like, oh, this is a negative event or this is a positive event. I just see it as something that just happened and I allow it to flow through me. I'm in it. And that's all. I don't really think much about it. I just kind of, yeah. That's how I.
Yeah. And you said a key thing. You said, like a lot of people would want to change a circumstance, but really, someone mentioned the word cheat code. Maybe the cheat code is not maybe the cheat code, but looking within yourself, the way you said that's good. And like doing the work there, whatever that is. So if you're feeling I don't know. It could be like one time I was feeling like I wasn't appreciated. I think I shared this with Naomi and Tina, but I wasn't appreciated. And then someone said something that I didn't feel appreciated. And then after a few minutes, I'm like, you know what? They're just a mirror. I don't think I'm appreciating myself. So then I took some time to appreciate myself and thank myself for everything I've done recently. And I felt so much better. And then like afterwards, I kind of got more appreciation in the moment. That's a small example of what you're saying, Jessica. It's like it just starts with internal. Like if you want things to change, you just got to go within.
So see, we are usually not okay when people are not okay with us. Let's say, right? People can be not okay with me, but I will still be okay with myself first, and see, right, if I can grow, if I can learn, right, do better. But I have to be okay with myself first, right, for me to do more. So, right, that's something that we never learned, right, in our society. But just say, okay, that happened, right, but not beat ourselves up like, oh, I'm really not good, that's why people don't like me. No, that is something that we wanted to see for us to learn something from, right? You created that, but it's not to beat yourself up, right? So then we fall into the trap that we did not really learn, and we did not pass the test, in a way, the test that we made for ourselves.
So it'll just repeat.
Then you, higher self, can come up with something else. Yeah, I realized that when I was doing the channeling, that other people's emotions can affect mine, especially this is the person you have a feeling towards. But what's the what's the purpose of the test is for me not to react. So I finally realized it's easy to do with people you don't know much, right? You don't really care that much, let's say, right? But when someone you do care, then I'm no longer doing that. I'm no longer myself, right? But now I realize that. So I have the awareness and say, okay, I need to be myself, right? Always, especially, right, to the person who is close to me.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's almost like you almost got to become more selfish and almost not care about how they're feeling, because
Right.
naturally you're like, oh, they feel, like you said, Naomi, someone that's really close to you, they feel down or they feel not happy. So you're like, oh, I kind of feel I'm not in my full happiest moment because I can feel that they're so close to me. But it's almost like you gotta almost not care. I don't know another way to say it, but
Yeah, it's like I feel if that person is not happy or looks not happy, I feel it's my fault. I feel I'm not good enough, right? No, you be yourself even more, and
double down.
That's how you can inspire the other person.
Yeah, like this person doesn't give a crap that I'm feeling this way. Look at him. He's still enjoying life.
Right. And you encourage that person.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm really quickly. I do have to head out. I have some
Yeah.
plans and gotta get going.
No problem. Actually, the client is coming, so I think it's perfect timing. And feel free to join us on Tuesday, 6 p.m. or Saturday. Maybe I think from next week we start from 11.
Sounds good.
To like maybe 12:30.
This has been so wonderful. Thank you all. Thank you, Naomi, for
Thank you.
arranging.
Nice to see you again.
Yes, it's been great. See you guys.
Nice to see you, everyone.
Good journey.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And Tina, you can, just
Tina stays. All right.